It's the best thing about being a director, honestly, is that it's a complete vision. And it should be really from beginning to end, from the time that you start developing the screenplay.
Jodie Foster is one of Hollywood's most iconic stars, but you won't believe what she looks like today. Time has changed her in ways you never expected. As she nears 70, the transformation is nothing short of mesmerizing. Stick around, because what we're about to reveal might just surprise you. A prodigy on the rise, Jodie Foster was born Alicia Christian Foster on November 19, 1962, in Los Angeles, California. She was the youngest of 4 children, raised mostly by her mother, Evelyn Brandy Foster, who played a huge role in guiding her career. Brandy worked as a film producer and publicist, so she was familiar with the entertainment world. From a very early age, Jodie was surrounded by the business of show. But unlike many kids pushed into the spotlight, Jodie seemed to have a natural talent and a strong mind of her own. Jodie's first step into the entertainment industry happened when she was just 3 years old. She started out doing television commercials. Her first major job was a Coppertone ad, where she played the little girl whose swimsuit bottom is pulled down by a puppy. It's one of the most famous ads of that time. Even at such a young age, Jodie stood out. She had a serious focus and a mature energy that casting directors noticed. Her mother quickly realized that Jodie wasn't just cute. She was unusually bright, and she could understand direction better than most adults. Soon, Jodie was landing more jobs. Throughout the late 1960s and early 1970s, she appeared in dozens of commercials and guest roles on TV shows like Mayberry RFD, The Courtship of Eddie's Father, and Bonanza. Her performances were confident, natural, and professional. By the time she was 8 or 9, she had already built a strong resume. Most children in Hollywood might have trouble balancing work and school.
The film really, one of the ways that the financial world has been able to...
But Jodie was different. She attended the Lycée Français de Los Angeles, a French-language prep school, and became fluent in French. She kept up with her schoolwork even while working, often doing homework on set. At age 12, Jodie Foster took on the role that would change her life and make her a household name. Taxi Driver, directed by Martin Scorsese. She played Iris, a 12-year-old child prostitute who becomes involved with Robert De Niro's character, Travis Bickle. The film was critically praised, but extremely controversial, mostly because of Jodie's age and the mature subject matter. It was a shocking role for a child actor, and it led to a national conversation about the limits of child performance in Hollywood. Behind the scenes, special care was taken to protect Jodie. A child psychologist was hired to monitor her emotional well-being during filming. Her older sister, Connie, even acted as her body double in some of the more sensitive scenes. Still, many people criticized the film and questioned whether Jodie should have been allowed to play such a part. But Jodie herself later said that she understood the role and felt safe throughout the process. She wasn't just acting. She was thinking deeply about the character and what the story meant. Her performance earned her an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress, and it proved she was far more than just a child star. By the time most kids her age were just starting to figure out what they liked, Jodie had already built a reputation as one of the most talented young performers in Hollywood. Her childhood was not typical, but it was full of purpose. She showed the world that being young didn't mean you couldn't be thoughtful, skilled, and strong. And what came next showed just how fearless and brilliant she really was. The Hinckley Incident. In 1981, something happened that would deeply affect Jodie Foster's life, even though she had nothing to do with it personally. A man named John Hinckley Jr. attempted to assassinate U.S. President Ronald Reagan. During the shooting, Reagan and 3 others were injured. It was a shocking and frightening moment in American history. But what made it even stranger was Hinckley's reason for doing it. He said he did it to impress Jodie Foster. At the time, Jodie was just 18 years old and a freshman at Yale University. Hinckley had become obsessed with her after watching the movie Taxi Driver, in which she played a child prostitute. In that film, Robert De Niro's character becomes violent and tries to rescue her. Hinckley identified with De Niro's character and believed that by doing something drastic in public, he could get Jodi's attention. This idea became an unhealthy obsession in his mind.
College, because all the courses that are being taught me are college courses that are only offered in American colleges, not in the American high school system.
He started following her, sending her letters, and even calling her dorm room at Yale. She never responded to him, and she had no relationship with him at all. After Hinckley's arrest, the FBI found many notes and journal entries he had written about Jodi. He had written disturbing things, including fantasies about being famous and close to her. When the news broke that he had tried to kill the president because of his obsession with Jodie Foster, the media exploded. Reporters swarmed Yale's campus, trying to get quotes, interviews, or even just a photo of her. It was a massive national story, and Jodi suddenly found herself in the center of it. This would have been overwhelming for anyone, especially a teenager trying to enjoy her college years. But Jodi didn't panic. She stayed calm, quiet, and smart. Instead of talking to the press, she chose silence. She didn't give interviews or respond to the attention. Many people expected her to speak out or make a public statement, but she didn't. Her silence made some people curious, but it also protected her. She refused to turn the situation into something bigger than it already was. At Yale, she stayed focused on her studies. She was majoring in literature and continued to do well in her classes. Her professors and classmates later said that she was quiet, but incredibly bright, and that she handled everything with maturity. Instead of hiding or letting the media ruin her experience, she kept moving forward. The emotional toll, however, was real. Although she didn't show it publicly, Jodi has said in later interviews that the incident was deeply upsetting and confusing. She was just a young woman trying to live a normal life and was suddenly linked to a violent crime she had no part in. The experience made her more private and careful. She learned that fame could attract the wrong kind of attention, and she became very protective of her personal life from that point on. And that future would soon lead her to some of the most powerful performances of her career. Ivy League years. While most child stars in Hollywood struggle to balance fame with growing up, Jodie Foster took a different path. After gaining national attention for her early acting roles, especially her powerful performance in Taxi Driver, she made a surprising choice. Instead of diving deeper into Hollywood during her teen years, she focused on getting a top-tier education.
Up next, an exclusive excerpt from Lee Cowan's chat with Jodie Foster, something you can only see right here.
That decision showed just how serious and thoughtful she was, even at a young age. In 1980, Jodie Foster enrolled at Yale University, one of the most prestigious Ivy League schools in the United States. It was a bold move, especially for someone already well-known in the entertainment industry. At Yale, she majored in literature. She had always loved reading and writing, and literature gave her a space to explore human emotions, stories, and culture in a deeper way than acting alone could offer. Her time at Yale wasn't just about academics. It was also about finding balance in her life. Yale provided a sense of normalcy for her. Even though the Hinckley incident brought unwanted media attention to her freshman year, she stayed committed to her education. She didn't let fame distract her from her goals. Instead, she kept a low profile and earned the respect of her professors and classmates through her dedication and intelligence. Jodie Foster wasn't just book smart. She also had a deep interest in languages and cultures. She had attended the Lycée Français de Los Angeles as a child, where all the classes were taught in French. Because of this, she became fluent in French from a young age and developed a strong love for French culture, literature, and cinema. Over the years, she has even acted in French films and dubbed her own voice in French versions of her English-language movies. Her education helped shape her into more than just an actress. It gave her the tools to think critically, to analyze characters deeply, and to make careful choices about the roles she accepted. While other young actors chased fame or money, Jodie looked for stories that had meaning. She wanted to tell stories that mattered. Her background in literature gave her a strong foundation for this.
He kind of took me under his wing a little bit. I'd done a lot of movies, but he picked me up from my hotel.
She understood how characters were built, how stories were structured, and what made a script truly powerful. Jodie Foster graduated from Yale in 1985 with honors. She didn't just pass her classes, she excelled. Her academic journey proved that she was more than a child star. She was a serious, educated, and intelligent woman with a clear sense of purpose. Next up, she'd use everything she learned to take over Hollywood in a whole new way. Reinventing herself in Hollywood. After graduating from Yale in 1985 with honors, Jodie Foster returned to Hollywood with a new sense of focus. She was no longer just a former child star. She was a young woman with a strong mind, a top-tier education, and a clear vision for her future. Many child actors struggle to move into adult roles, but Jodie was determined to take control of her career and show the world what she was truly capable of. Just 3 years after finishing college, Jodie made one of the boldest moves of her career. In 1988, she starred in The Accused, a courtroom drama based on a real-life case. In the film, she played Sarah Tobias, a young woman who survives a violent sexual assault and fights for justice in a system that doesn't believe her. It was a tough and emotional role, one that many actresses might have been afraid to take on. But Jodie didn't hesitate. She believed in the story and the message it carried. Her performance was raw, fearless, and deeply moving. Critics praised her for taking such a difficult role and giving it everything she had. That same year, she won her first Academy Award for Best Actress. It was a turning point. With that one role, Jodie proved that she wasn't just talented. She was powerful. She could carry a film on her own, and she could handle roles with depth and complexity. Just a few years later, in 1991, she took on another challenging and iconic role in The Silence of the Lambs. In that film, she played Clarice Starling, a young FBI trainee who interviews the brilliant but terrifying serial killer, Dr. Hannibal Lecter, played by Anthony Hopkins. The film was intense, suspenseful, and full of psychological twists. Once again, Jodie delivered a brilliant performance. Clarice wasn't just smart. She was strong, brave, and deeply human. The character became one of the most respected female leads in film history. The Silence of the Lambs was a massive success. It won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, and Best Actress. Jodie Foster took home her second Oscar. At this point, she was one of the most respected actresses in Hollywood. But she didn't stop there. Jodie had always wanted to do more than act. She wanted to be involved in telling stories from the ground up. So, in the early 1990s, she founded her own production company called Egg Pictures. This gave her the power to produce the kinds of films she believed in. Thoughtful, meaningful stories that often didn't get made by major studios. She wanted to support original ideas and take creative risks. Through Egg Pictures, Jodie began developing her skills as a producer and eventually a director. In 1991, she directed her first film, Little Man Tate, which she also starred in. The film tells the story of a child genius and his single mother, exploring the challenges of being gifted in a world that doesn't always understand or support intelligence. The film was personal and heartfelt, and it showed that Jodie had a strong voice behind the camera as well.
Certainly the film has an intellectual side and an emotional side, and it's equally divided.
She followed it up with other directing projects like Home for the Holidays, a family drama with emotional depth and humor. These weren't blockbuster films, but they were carefully made and full of feeling. Jodie didn't chase box office numbers. She focused on quality. Whether acting, directing, or producing, she chose projects that meant something to her. One of the reasons Jodie Foster was able to transition so successfully from child star to serious adult actress was because she never rushed. She was careful about the roles she took. She turned down many scripts that didn't feel right, even if they were high-paying or high-profile. She wanted her work to matter. This approach helped her build a career based on respect, not just popularity. She was also one of the few women in Hollywood at the time who held real creative control over her projects. Founding Egg Pictures gave her the freedom to tell stories her way. She didn't have to wait for someone else to give her permission. She made things happen on her own terms. This made her a role model, especially for women in the film industry who wanted more than just acting roles. Over time, Jodie continued to take on fewer acting roles but remained active behind the scenes. Her focus on directing grew stronger, and she became known for her intelligence, creativity, and leadership. She worked on both film and television, choosing projects that matched her values and artistic goals. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, Jodie Foster had fully transformed her image. She was no longer just the talented child star or even just the Oscar-winning actress. She was a director, a producer, and a creative force with a long-term vision. She had earned the respect of both audiences and the industry by being true to herself and staying focused on the quality of her work. Next, we'll see how she kept that same focus while building a quiet but meaningful personal life. Privacy, parenthood, and coming out. Throughout her long career, Jodie Foster has been known not only for her talent, but also for how fiercely she protects her personal life. In an industry where celebrities often live their lives in the public eye, she made a very different choice. From the start, Jodie kept a clear line between her work and her private world. She gave very few interviews, avoided gossip magazines, and stayed off social media. This wasn't because she had something to hide. It was because she valued a life that felt real and safe. Jodie's desire for privacy likely came from her early fame. She was in the spotlight from the age of 3 and had already experienced the pressures of being a public figure as a child. Then, the Hinckley incident during her college years showed her just how dangerous attention could be. From that point on, she became even more guarded. She rarely discussed her personal relationships, and she didn't offer details about her life outside of her acting and directing work. While this sometimes made the media curious, she stayed firm in her boundaries. One of the most personal aspects of Jodie Foster's life has been her role as a mother. She has 2 sons, Charles and Kit, born in 1998 and 2001. Jodie has never revealed the identity of their biological father, and she raised them largely outside the Hollywood spotlight. She has spoken about how important it was to her that her children have a normal upbringing, far from flashing cameras and public pressure. She would walk them to school, attend their sports games, and do all the day-to-day things that parents do without making it a big deal. Her sons have grown up with very little media exposure, something she worked hard to make possible. For many years, there was also public speculation about Jodie Foster's sexuality. She never responded to rumors or questions, believing that her private life was not something she owed to the public. However, in 2013, during her acceptance speech for the Cecil B. DeMille Award at the Golden Globes, she finally addressed the topic in a way that only she could. Honestly, emotionally, and on her own terms. Her speech wasn't a traditional coming-out moment. Instead, it was a powerful message about identity, freedom, and privacy. She talked about how she had already come out to those close to her 1,000 years ago and questioned why public declarations were necessary. She acknowledged her former partner, Sidney Bernard, with whom she had shared a long relationship and raised her children. Her speech included moments of humor, seriousness, and reflection. It wasn't just about being a member of the LGBTQ+ community. It was about being a human being who wanted to live honestly, but also privately. That night, many people applauded her courage, while others were surprised by her tone. Some expected a more straightforward announcement, but what she gave instead was something far more thoughtful. She reminded the world that People are not headlines or sound bites. They are complex, private individuals. Jodi's speech became one of the most talked about moments of the evening and sparked conversations across the world about what it means to come out, especially for public figures. A few years later, in 2014, Jodi married photographer and actress Alexandra Hedison. Hedison is also a creative person, known for her work in photography as well as her past acting roles. The two women share a quiet and supportive life together, far from the drama of Hollywood. They are often seen together at film festivals or award shows, but they don't share much publicly. Their relationship is built on mutual respect and a shared understanding of the need for personal space. Since coming out, Jodi Foster has become a respected figure in the LGBTQ+ community, not because she's loud or constantly in the spotlight, but because of the way she's lived her truth with quiet strength. She didn't rush into public conversations or use her platform to make bold statements until she was ready. When she did speak, she chose her words carefully and made sure they reflected her values. Her life as a modern LGBTQ+ icon is not based on appearances or headlines, but on how she has handled herself over the years. She has shown that there are many ways to be visible and proud, and that being authentic sometimes means taking your time. Many young people, especially those in the LGBTQ+ community, see her as someone who represents honesty, intelligence, and dignity. Even as a public figure, Jodi Foster has managed to create a life that feels private, grounded, and deeply personal. She has raised 2 children with care, lived openly with love, and remained true to herself every step of the way. Her story reminds us that you don't need to share everything to be an inspiration. A shift in the spotlight. By the time Jodi Foster reached her 30s, she'd already won 2 Oscars, built a strong reputation as a serious actress, and founded her own production company. But she wasn't content to stay only in front of the camera. Jodi had always been interested in the entire process of storytelling, writing, producing, and especially directing. For her, acting was just one part of a much bigger creative picture. She made her directorial debut in 1991 with the film Little Man Tate. It was a deeply personal project about a child prodigy and his single mother, exploring what it means to be gifted and misunderstood. Jodi not only directed the movie, but she also played the mother. The story was thoughtful and emotional, and it showed that she had a clear vision behind the camera. Critics praised the film for its warmth and intelligence, and it proved that she could lead a film from both sides of the lens. Jodi went on to direct Home for the Holidays in 1995, a drama comedy about a dysfunctional family gathering for Thanksgiving. It was different from her earlier work, showing her range as a director. Over the next several years, though, she mostly returned to acting, taking on strong roles in films like Contact, Panic Room, and Flight Plan, but she never lost interest in directing. In 2011, Jodi directed The Beaver, a film about a depressed man who communicates through a hand puppet as a way of coping with his mental health struggles. It starred Mel Gibson, and though the film had mixed reviews and didn't do well at the box office, many praised the bold choice in storytelling. The film dealt with emotional pain and healing, and Jodi showed once again that she wasn't afraid to explore difficult subjects. In 2016, she directed Money Monster, a tense thriller starring George Clooney and Julia Roberts. The film was about a financial TV host who gets taken hostage on live television by a man who lost everything due to a bad investment. The movie tackled themes of corporate greed, media responsibility, and personal loss. It was a fast-paced, engaging film that showed Jodi's growth as a director of high-stakes drama. She handled complex scenes with confidence and brought strong performances out of her cast. Jodi Foster has also made a name for herself in television. She directed an episode of the hit series Orange is the New Black in 2013. That episode earned her an Emmy nomination and helped highlight her talent in directing television drama. In 2017, she directed the Black Mirror episode Archangel, which focused on a mother who uses technology to monitor her daughter's life. The episode was emotional, suspenseful, and full of ethical questions, right in line with the kinds of stories Jodie is drawn to. Her ability to explore both human connection and modern-day challenges made the episode one of the standout entries in the series. What stands out about Jodie Foster's work behind the camera is her focus on purpose. She doesn't direct just to stay busy or stay relevant. She chooses stories that speak to her personally. Whether the topic is parenting, mental health, or social justice, she looks for meaning in the material. This careful approach means she doesn't direct often, but when she does, her work carries depth and intention. She has spoken in interviews about how directing gives her a different kind of creative satisfaction. It allows her to shape the entire story, guide actors, and make decisions that affect every part of the final product. It's a role that gives her more control and creative freedom, and she takes that responsibility seriously. Living today at 62. In 2025, Jodie Foster continues to live life on her own terms, calmly, privately, and with quiet confidence. She splits her time between her elegant Beverly Hills estate and occasional trips to Europe, especially France, a country close to her heart due to her fluency in French and deep appreciation for its culture. Her Beverly Hills home, valued at $17.3 million, offers a peaceful retreat from the public eye. It's a spacious, stylish residence that reflects her taste for comfort and simplicity. Though she has lived in Los Angeles for most of her life, she often travels to Europe, enjoying the art, language, and slower pace of life there. In January 2025, Jodie added another major achievement to her career by winning the Golden Globe for Best Female Actor in a Limited Series for her role in True Detective: Night Country. This marked her 5th Golden Globe win, further solidifying her status as one of Hollywood's most respected talents. In her acceptance speech, she expressed gratitude for her community and highlighted the importance of storytelling that connects people across different backgrounds. Outside of her professional life, Jodie enjoys a range of hobbies that keep her engaged and fulfilled. She is an avid art collector, often drawn to pieces that tell a story or evoke strong emotions. Reading remains a lifelong passion. She delves into literature that challenges her perspectives and expands her understanding of the world. Her love for languages, particularly French, allows her to connect with different cultures and enjoy foreign films and literature in their original language. Music also plays a significant role in her life, providing both relaxation and inspiration. Jodie's daily routine is centered around maintaining a balance between her personal interests and professional commitments. She values her privacy immensely, choosing to stay away from social media platforms. This decision allows her to focus on meaningful interactions and avoid the distractions of the digital world. Her resistance to the constant exposure that comes with social media reflects her desire to lead a life that is authentic and grounded. In her personal life, Jodie shares a strong and supportive relationship with her wife, Alexandra Hedison. They have been together for over a decade, and while they keep their relationship private, it's evident that they share a deep bond. Jodie has occasionally spoken about the joy and stability that Alexandra brings into her life. Jodie Foster's life today shows her ability to navigate fame on her own terms. She continues to choose projects that resonate with her values, engages in hobbies that enrich her life, and maintains relationships that offer genuine connection. Her commitment to privacy and authenticity serves as an example for those seeking to lead a life of purpose and integrity. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story like this.